Peace Collective. Today's message is knocking on the door of destiny. Let's get right into it because I had this beautiful message from the divine, this vision actually, as I was having my talk with the creator, which is always how I start my day. And there was this hand knocking on a door. And I knew that it was talking about our destiny. Now, there's been a lot of people in the collective who've been doing the work to get into alignment with what is prepared for them next, following the yearnings of their heart. And what has been reflected to them they haven't been happy with. We have the 4 of cups, right? The 4 of cups is, someone sitting, back to a tree, not happy with what's been offered to them in this world. And in that, we have to acknowledge that the world hasn't done right by us. It hasn't reflected to us our heart. It hasn't reflected to us the goodness in life, because to the people that I'm really speaking to, you've gone through being the generational cycle breaker. You've gone through the hardships where life hasn't really poured into you. It's sure, it may seem like it was offering you something, but in all reality it was empty. It wasn't abundant. It wasn't heart fulfilling. It wasn't where you actively craved to even be alive, to have any of these experiences. It was like, okay, if this is what y'all are offering me, no thank you. I'm disinterested in these activities. I'm disinterested in these group of people. I'm disinterested in these conversations. I'm disinterested in the shallowness, right? The very surface level where many people operate out of. Okay, you've been searching for more, and in your life you may not have necessarily understood what that searching for more may have looked like. You may not have even known within yourself what you were searching for, what you were looking for. Okay. And so when these opportunities were being presented to you, you were like, no, thank you. Now, I do feel like this also has to go along with the aspect of self discovery, right? When we are talking about, destiny, we have to go through the aspect of delayering and deconstructing what's false to now come into what is true, what's aligned with us. Now, in aligning with in aligning with what's for us, excuse me, I get tongue tied kind of fast because my thoughts be going quicker than my mouth sometimes. My mouth trying to catch up. But in and deconstructing what was false, right? And to now align with what's for us, we had to realize, okay, this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. Okay, no, I'm not interested in this, right? We had to go through a particular stage of sorting things out, putting things, in boxes. Okay, you know what? This box is going to be sealed and then buried and then paved over with cement. Okay, so it can never be accessed. And then that cement block is going to then uh be put so deep in into the outer space that it can never be gained again. And as I said that I was 333, that means that your whole life is gone. Okay, what is no longer serving you is gone. It's not even where you can access it anymore. Okay, you have buried it so deeply. You have put it in capsules and sent it to you just sent it away, okay, to a whole nother realm where it doesn't belong, and it cannot be attached to you because it was never yours in the first place. So in the process of unbecoming, you've had to sit. And I do remember spirit asking, a couple years back, what do you want? What do you want? And I'm like, and I would say what I want, but in reality I was just like, there was no passion for it, right? I had been which I feel a lot of the collective has been like, we've gone through so much that it's like at a particular point in time, you're just like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? I kind of just want a good life, right? I want comfort. But Spirit was actively asking us, what do you want from your heart? What are the yearnings of your heart? And it's taken time. It's taken some years for us to listen to that calling and actively honor it, right? So regardless of what Spirit was offering, because I know Spirit was making suggestions and things like that, there was just this discontent within all of us, for those that this applies to. The next card, I'm gonna show it, but I really can't, to just to be decent. It is the Lovers. Okay, as you can see, there's no clothes there, so um, that's why I showed it that way. The Lovers is speaking to the union within self, the divine feminine, the divine masculine. I am of the strong belief that there is one soul, but two different units to that soul that compromise, make up the compartments of that soul, right? The divine feminine, the divine masculine. And in divine femininity, we've had to learn, from this aspect of the soul to be vulnerable, to let down our guards, you know, to allow our guardians to, to step in. So the universe, the divine, has been working on bringing these two compartments of the soul together. Now, mind you, this is um, some of you may be connected to your divine partner physically. This may just be something energetic for others. But understand that the energy field, right? The soul is not necessarily worried about a love story happening, even though I do believe this is a beautiful love story. It's more so about accomplishing the task that's been imprinted on the soul to complete in this lifetime, you know and so these energies have been working together. So if you feel like you've been in connection energetically with your eternal flame, understand that this is happening because as the divine feminine, the divine masculine coming in allows one that balance within that yin and yang energy, but it allows for manifestation. It allows for that divine masculine, a divine masculine counterpart to help the divine feminine fulfill, right? The desires of her heart, her creative ventures. It allows the divine masculine to, you know, um, bring in manifestations into the divine feminine's energetic field. Okay. And in him working with the manifestations, it's going to work as though the divine feminine's magnetics pulled it in, because it did. See, the divine feminine's gift is magnetizing to her what she wants. And in order to magnetize to her what she wants, she can't reject her divine counterpart. She can't reject her reflection and truth, okay? Your eternal flame. Um so this is where now the lovers are coming together, and this is where it's creating the reality that she wants. It's allowing you to actively access the top of the mountain, right? And all in guidance and in alignment with divinity. And so there's knocking at the door of opportunity, or not opportunity, cancel that statement, knocking at the door of destiny. Okay. Has been you discovering the blueprints that's been on your heart. It's been you showing up for yourself, right? And actively discovering what you want after you've stripped off the layers that were false. And now coming into this balanced energy with your yin and yang energy, your divine feminine, your divine masculine. The next card is Six of Swords. This is speaking to a voyage, right? This is speaking to moving on. And I feel like for, the kind of it looks kind of like swords on this card. I feel like this is you moving away from pain. This is you moving away from hurt. This is you moving away from rejection. This is for the masculine, right? Or the boat, the one driving the boat, so to speak, is like the masculine, right? Making things, coming into your manifestations, coming into your energetic field. The divine feminine right now feels like she's very much wrapped into, her like solar plexus, her willpower. She's honoring herself. And this is a very crucial stage because it's had to take place, and her showing up for herself in order for the world to reflect this back to her, in order for her divine masculine to make things come into fruition. And so you are in this journey, right? Where now you are letting the divine know, I'm knocking, at the door of destiny. I'm no longer running from the alignments, that are meant to come into my energetic field. I am honoring me. I'm seeing my worth. I'm seeking this guidance. I'm seeking opportunity. And one of the messages that I made recently was when action meets alignment. And I do feel like ultimately this is where, we're going, but not from an action meets alignment from a standpoint of I got to make this happen, I got to make this happen. It's a flow. It's something that ultimately is going to flow with ease and grace. It's something that's just going to happen while you are busy living your life. But you will listen that, if there's like this pulling to be like, okay, promote yourself, you're going to listen to that call, right? And you're going to take these opportunities. The next card that came out is like, Three of Pentacles. And this Three of Pentacles to me is seeking that guidance, right? It's seeking, you know, um, that opportunity where now you're putting yourself out there, you're communicating with those that can open doors. You're getting that um as you journey right from the six of swords moving into the Three of Pentacles, you are now moving into the inner workings of your true reality. You are now moving into again a moment of like promotion, seeking that insight, seeking that hand of like help of um actively aligning with opportunities and people that are going to bring your dreams into fruition because they're going to see the value in you. Okay. And in actively showing up for yourself, now you are going to be aligning with those that open doors for you because they're going to see what you have to offer. They're going to see the gifts, okay? And they're going to see the truth in that. And this is where you're walking into. This is where you're walking into, a fulfillment, a new life where now things are starting, the wheels, basically it's like a clock, but it's not the clock, but it's the gears. The gears are now rolling, okay, to your destiny, right? So things are starting to be um put in place. You have the King of Swords next to this. So this is obviously someone that's commanding things. This is where I'm getting very much the uh divine masculine energy coming in. And the divine masculine is, okay, she's ready, she's in alignment. Again, talked about the two compartments of the soul, right? Being one. This is where she's ready. So now we can go out into the world, we can make things happen. This is a very serious guy. This is someone that knows, what his divine feminine wants, and he's after, bringing this into her to her reality. Nothing can stop it. Nothing can shake him. Okay, from bringing this into your reality. You have the Page of Cups, and again, to me this is like, oh, okay, there's sustenance, right? There's sustenance and that's being offered to you, right? And it's being brought to you, in ways, I'm getting unexpected ways. Okay, so allow room for surprises, but I do feel like what's being offered, those that have aligned it are very pleased within themselves in what they've been able to align. I feel like you're going to be very pleased in what's been aligned for you. And instead of, being offered in the beginning, the Four Cups, right, which was emptiness, now you are coming into what's in alignment with your like divinity, what's in alignment with you on a soul level, that it's a worthy reflection of your soul, right, of the abundance that is the all that is all, because the abundant is, the all that is all is not lacking in abundance, and neither should you, and so this is the moment where you're allowing yourself to receive. The next card that came up was the World. Okay, this is where now the world is opening itself up to you. This is, I'm getting, walking through a portal, walking into a new existence. Okay, this is where now the world is a reflection of like you and your team, right? Where those that have worked on things. And the reason why I say you and your team is because you haven't done this journey alone. And I think it's really important to acknowledge those that we've done the work with, those that we work with. I believe in giving offerings, to the divine, to the team, ultimately showing appreciation, and this isn't just, what you've been able to cultivate for yourself, because there are people that you are working with that have beautiful alignments that they're using, their connections to bring forth in your reality something really beautiful. Okay. And it's, sorry, because I got a message, but that was personal. Um, this is where now, you've dealt with a lot of things that were limiting you before, and this is no longer the case. Okay, this is where you are allowing yourself to receive. And the wound itself has gone to rest. It's been a, a beautiful aspect of, integrating her concerns, and I'm not saying that the wound itself doesn't still have concerns, but the more that you're being shown, the more that you just have this feeling and knowing that things are going to be different, the wound itself is now able to relax a bit more, and kind of fall back. And this is what's needed to happen. The overarching card for this message is Ten of Cups, which speaks to a happy home, which speaks to, contentment, which speaks to me, it's a reflection of wish fulfillment, being fulfilled, being completed, and now you're able to enjoy the fruition of what you've been manifesting and what you've been bringing into your reality. And I think that's really beautiful that now you have, this home that you can share with yourself and your loved ones. So, y'all, thank you for listening to this message. Take care from me and Spirit. Peace.